ever sing my music again. Not here, not anywhere. Do you understand? Never again. My music is for Phoenix. Only she can sing it. Anyone else that tries dies.
You want burgers, hot dogs, some chicken, and ribs. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
So, if you ran a movie theater,
All right.
or a theater,
Okie dokie.
a grindhouse, whatever the fuck you've decided, okay?
Yes, yeah.
You would be a phantom.
Oh, that would be a great idea. Because I would have
just
somebody go like
would
run
be.
it, and then I would just be the phantom in the background, like coming down. You know.
No, you just would be like,
You're just like, no, you'd just be the phantom. Wait, what?
you wouldn't like play the phantom. You just are the phantom.
Just am the phantom. I don't know, maybe. Just being all creepy and throwing things at people up in the rafters.
Yeah. You
Singing
would.
every once in a while, just in the background. Singing.
Yes, you'd be the phantom. I see it. I see it.
Oh, well, today we're going to sing. Not playing. No.
Fuck
We're not
you.
going to sing. I know that the atrocious episode of Rocky Horror, we're not repeating that. I wonder if anybody thought we were going to do that. I hope not. Because that's not the case here.
They're doing a musical. Unsubscribe.
Like, we're done. We're losing listeners again. No, but welcome to Night of the Horror File. It's about the intro of the movie and not the show. Welcome to Night of the Horror File. For those of you unfamiliar with this little slab of podcast area, this is a podcast, obviously, because you know what you're listening to. But this is a podcast where we take a horror movie or genre film and have my beautiful wife, Brittany, watch it. And then she gives us our input, and I berate you guys with tons of unwanted information about a movie.
Yes.
What did we watch this week, though?
Phantom of the Paradise.
Phantom of the motherfucking Paradise. This one's a little, I don't want to say different for you because you've watched a lot of different movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't think anything could possibly surprise you.
There's no
now.
chicken fucking in this movie.
Yeah, well, there you go. So that's one plus.
And I'm pretty happy about that.
For more on chicken fucking, go check out our June episodes. But anyway, so we watch Phantom of the Paradise.
Yes.
And this is a really weird movie because, okay, one, usually when people first find out about this movie, they're like, oh, this is such a hidden gem and stuff like that, which is really interesting because this movie has a rabid fan base.
Really?
Like so rabid that we got added. The podcast, the Facebook page of the podcast got added to a Phantom of the Paradise like group. Like I feel like we just got welcomed into like a group of. I wonder if they call themselves something like Phantom Heads or something like that. You think like Phantom Heads? That's a good idea.
It's probably better than that.
That's a good idea. I don't know. I know the amount of Paul Williams I've been listening to this week has been great. Like. I love Paul Williams. Well, we'll get into how much I love Paul Williams when we get deeper into the episode, but deeper. Anyway, today's feature is a bit different of a beast than what Brittany, I think, is used to. You know, we haven't done too many musicals on this show. Rocky Horror, I think, is the only one we've done, right? Like, we haven't done any other musicals or anything. There are other horror musicals, you know.
Really?
Yeah, they're just not like as popular as Rocky Horror and this one.
Right.
Or at least I think this one's popular. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm plugged into these little niche communities. You know what I mean? But anyway, you could call it a musical. You could call it a horror comedy. You could call it a satire. It's a hybrid film to me, but you'd be correct with anything you wanted to label it. But Phantom of the Paradise is a beloved movie, like I said, with its giant fucking fan base. But it wasn't always like that, though. You know,
Right.
This movie came about as one of two stories that Brian De Palma had wrote, and they were optioning it. And producer Ed Pressman worked on this with him. He worked on this one, and he worked on Sisters before that. Now, they decided to collaborate on Sisters first because it was a lot easier to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, De Palma at the time was disillusioned with big studio pictures, having just done Get to Know Your Rabbit for Warner Brothers. And that experience left him like with a huge sour taste in his mouth.
Oh, no.
You know, like I think that disdain for the entertainment industry, like for big studios and stuff, probably influenced what we see today a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't think Brian De Palma has come out and said it, but this movie, it's hilarious, one, but it has a chip on its shoulder about the entertainment industry.
Oh, yeah.
And we will talk about it. But, he was disillusioned after that film. So while De Palma was having he was talking with another producer about optioning Phantom and Sisters, he basically just told Pressman, he was like, if you get me the fuck out of here, you can have the rights to this and we'll make the movie my way. Not the studio way. And I think that's why this movie is so fucking weird. You know what I mean? If a studio had their hands in this, I don't think it would be the same.
Oh, they wouldn't have let him.
No. And honestly, we get the best movies that way. Like when they don't let studio interference affect them. I think if the Phantom was made today, Chris Pratt would probably be in it. But anyway.
Ew.
Yeah, ew. He needs to go back to being fat, first of all. Chris Pratt,
I didn't know he was fat.
Yeah, he was a chunky comedian. Like, he needs to go back and do that. I don't need him trying to be Ryan Reynolds. Anyway.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to bring Ryan Reynolds into this.
I always got to. I love hating on Ryan Reynolds, even though I'll watch a Ryan Reynolds movie. I enjoy them. But anyway, I think that's something we've hit on before, though, how studios cut into your story into ribbons before throwing it out to the masses.
Yeah.
Well, kind of the same way Swan does in today's movie, which we'll get to. But the two decided to work on Sisters first, like I said, since it was the more practical of the two stories. And they were able to cast De Palma's flatmates, including Margot Kidder, into that movie. So it was just a lot easier to produce that. That was actually a pretty big hit. Like, it made a pretty good amount of money. It did really well in the drive-in theaters. And so on to Phantom they went.
Right.
Now, De Palma had a very cool idea of a mashup between like a few literary stories and then one big cinematic story. Now, Phantom of the Opera, of course, was a book, but I think De Palma draws more on the movie Phantom of the Opera from 1943.
Okay.
I think he draws more on that.
Yeah.
So much so that I think Universal threatened them with a lawsuit, but we're about to talk about how many lawsuits threats this movie got. But anyway, but he also matched it up with Faust and The Picture of Dorian Gray. And you also have little nods here to like Frankenstein and just a bunch of other little nods to different kind of literary classics and horror films themselves. I mean, it's a send up of horror films. Like that's also the goal of this movie too.
Oh, okay.
And so production on Phantom of the Fillmore began. Yes, I said that right.
Phantom of the Fillmore.
Phantom of the Fillmore. Now it began as they started off with Phantom, and then Marvel was going to sue them because they had the Phantom was one of their properties.
Oh, I didn't know.
And then they called it Phantom at the Fillmore. And then the actual Fillmore Theater, the people who own that, threatened them with lawsuits.
Oh my God.
It was one after another with this poor fucking movie. One from the estate of Phantom of the Opera itself by Universal, like I said. And then another lawsuit came later from Led fucking Zeppelin for using the name Swan Song, which had to be covered up in the most hilarious ways throughout this movie. Oh, but even with all these hiccups, Phantom moved on. And so with a lot to talk about, let's dive into Phantom of the Paradise from 1974.
So, Swan is going to eat your soul.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to summon him and he's going to eat your soul.
Well, speaking of Swan, the Phantom's secret sauce to this whole mix.
Ew, don't.
Yeah, that came out a little grosser than I wanted it to. But anyway, the secret recipe to this whole mix is through Paul Williams. Now, Brian De Palma brought him on to do the music for this. I think they had met at A&M Records and they just kind of hit it off and stuff like that. Paul Williams never really got why Brian De Palma was interested in him because if you listen to Paul Williams like I do, like I love Paul Williams, but his stuff is mainly easy listening.
Right.
It's none of this rock stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This is heavy rock we're messing with in this picture. But Williams was working for A&M at the time. And that, you know, he was writing songs for the Carpenters, Three Dog Night, and et cetera. And A&M was also they were in the process of trying to push more of their music into films, you know. So they were meeting with Brian De Palma, but Brian De Palma had just run into Paul Williams outside of a meeting one day.
Oh,
and
wow.
stuff. Yeah. And they started talking. Now, like I said, Williams seemed like an unlikely choice, but he kind of was really excited about the glam rock and like the rock and roll stuff he was going to get to do.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a challenge for him at the time. But I mean, as you can see, he fucking just blew that out of the water.
Yes.
I think, I hate to say it, like, because, you know, I love Rocky Horror, but I think these musical numbers, or not musical numbers, but the music in this movie, you can listen to it a lot more than you can, I think, Rocky Horror.
Okay, I'm gonna have to agree with you.
Yeah, because
even though my little Rocky Horror heart is crying.
I know. It's hard for me to say because I love that. I love the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
But the difference between the Rocky Horror songs and the songs in this movie is the songs in this movie don't tell a story.
The thing about
the story of the movie is what I mean.
Right. And I'll talk about it later. How they don't really tell a story in the middle of it, like stop the movie dead or anything. I'll talk about it later, but like they more move the movie along.
Yes.
Yeah. And De Palma, like I said, he responded to his music and brought him on board. And so that's how we got this glorious soundtrack here. Now, Paul Williams didn't do the score, though. The score, that vaudevillian sound and stuff that goes on through the movie, that silent film score.
Yeah.
That's by George Tibbett, who does, I think, an amazing job on this movie.
Yeah. And I hate to tell you this, but to me, this movie is not a musical.
I don't get it. I don't feel like it is either. And I'll talk about Brian De Palma's choice of how he went about this, because it's easy to classify it as a musical. But De Palma was making a musical, but he wasn't wanting to make a stereotypical music. He wanted to go outside the boundaries and do something musicals just don't do, you know.
Because most of the time, or any musicals I've seen, the music that is sung is telling the story.
Right. It feels like I said, it stops it dead in its tracks. Right. Like it stops the movie dead and they're just singing and it feels like part of the universe.
Yes.
Like it's just like people just randomly sing and dance here, everybody. This is how, this is how this is operating. Just like in Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know, when you first enter the Frankfurter's mansion or whatever, and you get the time warp, it comes out of nowhere and it doesn't really do anything to the story besides just have fun and kind of introduce you to a slew of characters real quick.
But it tells you part of the story.
Sorta. The time warp?
Okay, maybe not the time warp, but every other
specifically, I'm talking about the time warp. Okay. You know what I mean? Like it just stops dead and we just have a good time.
Right.
Which is fine. There's just nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's just like in this movie, though, the music is of the characters. It very much is part of them.
Yeah.
But it's also driving them forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's a part of the story, but it's not telling the parts of the story, if that makes any sense.
Some of it kind of does.
It's more of the feeling to me.
Right. I mean, some of it kind of does because, like, if you listen to, like, William Finley singing a little bit, like, he's singing that song where he's talking about, you know, the whole, like, point of his first song that he sings to Swan is all about, like, finding his, like, love and stuff like that, selling his soul for love and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, and you can incorporate that into music and do whatever you like with that. But, you know,
I don't know.
It's the thing is, music is very real in this world.
Yeah.
Whereas in a musical, nobody's like, music isn't I don't, it's very hard to explain.
No, I get
at.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like music happens in those, and songs happen in those movies and musicals, but this one is about the music.
Right. Like, you know what the easiest way to classify this as? And I know a lot of people like to classify it as a musical, and you can, but I would just call it a rock opera.
Okay.
Like, I think that's just something I would like to go with. You know what I mean? It just feels better. It
Yeah.
feels more fitting.
Yeah.
Like, it's not so much a musical as it more is an opera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. So we get this opening scene and like a voiceover thing
Mhm.
giving us information about the movie. And it says, Swan, he has no other name. His past is a mystery, but his work is already a legend. He wrote and produced his first world record at 14. In the years since then, he won many others, and he tried to deposit them in Fort Knox. Brought the blues to Britain. He brought Liverpool to America. He brought folk and rock together. His band, the Juicy Fruits, gave birth to the nostalgia wave in the 1970s. And now he's looking for a new sound of the Spheres to inaugurate his one Xanadu. I was like, how do I say that word? His own Disneyland called The Paradise, the ultimate rock palace. This film is the story of that search, of that sound, of the man that made it, the girl who sang it, and the monster who stole it.
And if you could smell the cigarette smoke and you're a huge fan of Twilight Zone, it's for good reason here, because that's none other than Rod Serling opening the film with this narration here at the beginning.
Okay.
Now, Rod Serling, of course, always introduced the Twilight Zone and wrote nearly all the stories in that and in Night Gallery and stuff. I don't have time to go through Rod Serling. A multi-talented guy. I think everyone in this film is very multi-talented. That's something that should be said. Like, everyone in this movie is an underrated something. Like,
Right.
that's what's really funny.
Right.
But if you haven't pulled the plug on watching those classic Twilight Zones, then you really aren't living life. Like, you have got to go watch the classic Twilight Zones, especially the ones with Rod Serling. He was amazing.
I have a question.
Okay.
So Paul Williams plays Swan?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. For some reason I was confused about that. And then I was like, no, he did. Okay. It makes sense now in my brain.
Yeah. No, you're okay.
Then we get to see the Juicy Fruits performing, and they're singing a song about someone paying a price for love.
Da, da, da.
I liked this song.
When it was 5. All right, anyway. We're not singing. We're not singing, Lee. Dude,
We're not.
I have been listening to this soundtrack all fucking week.
You know what? Can I get that on Spotify?
It's on Spotify.
Okay,
yes,
I'm
you can
gonna
find
have
this
to listen
entire
to
soundtrack on Spotify.
I'm gonna have to listen to
Oh,
it.
it's lovely. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Anyway, originally De Palma wanted Shauna Na to be the band in this entire movie because the Juicy Fruits are pretty much every one of the bands that we see throughout it. You know, they play the Juicy Fruits.
Yes.
They play the Beach Bums, and then they play the Undeads. But he found Shauna Na really extremely difficult to work with because Shauna Na was a band. They're not actors.
Right.
You know, so Paul Williams suggested, we use my personal road band to do this, which are musicians. And then he got together these 3 guys from they were doing Broadway and they were comedians. They had improv comedy lesson or training and stuff like that.
Oh,
he
yeah.
brought them up to be the 3 main Juicy Fruits that you see. I love that
That's
name.
so weird.
I love the name of the band, the Juicy Fruits. And of course, through this whole little intro and stuff, and this is Archie Hahn, Jeffrey Kamenor, and Peter Elblin, I believe his name is. He's usually credited as Harry Oblong in this movie and a bunch of other film roles he did. But these guys were mostly doing Broadway at the time, and I think De Palma saw one of their shows. And they met him through there, and then Paul Williams got them together and stuff like that. And it all came together. The thing about this movie that really should be said that it kind of feels loose.
Yeah.
Do you get like a real independent spirit and a real loose attitude about this entire movie?
Oh, yeah.
That's because De Palma, they said he was a great director to work with because he kind of let these guys do their own thing. Like these 3 dudes, they got to choreograph their own stuff. during these
that's
musical
cool.
numbers. Yeah, they got to act, do whatever they wanted and stuff like that. And you can tell they're having a blast.
Oh yeah, I love these. Okay, so there's like the main singer, and
Yeah.
then there's the other two guys. I love those other two guys. I wasn't even looking at the singer. I
Yeah.
was looking at the other guys because they were performing.
Yes, it's great.
Yes.
It's honestly really fun to look at. And that's the thing, because they could have just had a band here being all stale and just performing and stuff, just doing that. But,
Right.
but these guys have some real like personality.
Yes.
Like that improv comedy really comes through
Yes.
in these scenes. And so like, by the way, if you guys get the Shout Factory Blu-ray set that this comes in, these three dudes are like, they're who you'd want as an uncle, because they were yucking it up the entire time.
Yes.
They're like making fun of each other in the commentaries and just fucking having a blast. And it is a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now we see a man wearing gloves, which is Swan.
Yeah.
And he claps, so everyone in the audience starts clapping and cheering.
hmm
Philbin, who's Swan's assistant, is talking about a woman named Annette and how he found her in a church choir. He did everything to make her big, and then he sold her to Swan and made her the biggest thing in rock. He's upset because she fired them and canceled her show.
Mhm.
She wants to give free concerts to starving orphans.
It's so funny because this guy's talking like she's wronged him so much, but she's like doing good and stuff. She's a good person.
Right.
It's like because they couldn't turn her to the dark side with how they brought her up into the rock business that they're upset about it. And
Yes.
I love this little this little speech that Philbin gives.
Yeah.
Philbin was named after a character from Phantom of the Opera. Actually, that name Philbin, I can't remember. Mary Philbin, I think, is her name in the Phantom of the Opera. But you know, it's
Oh, okay. Well, Philbin wants Swan to break her. And Swan said she is washed up and tomorrow she will be gone. He says they have more important things to do, though, to worry about.
yeah.
He tells Philbin to listen to the man playing the piano and singing. And Swan wants this to be the music to open the paradise, but not the man singing it, though.
Yeah, it's really crazy how like fast we get into satire territory.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite the whiplash, because you know during the scene where the juicy fruits are playing, you know, you're also introduced to Winslow Leach. you know,
Yes.
our main character who becomes the Phantom later. But and first of all, the wonderful William Finley plays Winslow Leach, and the tragic Phantom. And you have seen something with William Finley in it. He played like a tiny little role in Toby Hooper's Funhouse.
Okay.
You remember that? Like he's the magician in.
Okay.
Brittany does not remember Funhouse. That was an old episode. That might have been number 20 or something. It's been a while.
Is that the one?
That's the one where that gypsy lady at the carnival like jerks off that Frankenstein
okay,
monster
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
Wow, that's the weirdest
I just
explanation
remember
for a
a
movie.
circus tent. Okay.
Yeah, you're fine. It's all about the circus and stuff. And
And I was really what I pictured was killer clowns from outer space.
oh, damn. Brittany, all the horror is combining together in her brain. But
It's just mushy.
But Finley had gone to act school with De Palma, and they had worked on many of like De Palma's like underground films, like his early films.
Yeah.
Mostly William kind of played these manic, kind of scary characters in those movies, which everyone said is the complete opposite who he was in real life.
Mhm.
He was always like a super fucking nice guy, and so I think his more like natural attitude comes through in Winslow Leach here at the beginning, because he's innocent and naive and stuff with this character.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is, very. I don't know. It's kind of you can't not love Winslow. Like you feel so bad for him.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Because
yes.
even later he's still naive.
Yes.
Oh, but I think Finley does a fantastic job here and really pulls off the idea of a tragic character.
Yes.
Because he's having to do multiple roles here. Like he's tragic.
Mhm.
He's also kind of innocent, naive, like I said. He's playing that. He's also playing like an anti-hero later on in the movie, which is and also a villain. He also has to be a horror
Right.
villain. So he's got a lot on his plate here. Now, there was a musical chairs kind of casting thing going on because when Paul Williams came aboard to do the music, you know, Brian De Palma wrote this role for William Finley. He wrote him this role with Finley in mind. But when Paul came aboard, you know, Brian De Palma was like, well, maybe Paul Williams could play, you know, the Phantom and stuff. And there was a moment, because Paul Williams was excited about it, of course, at first. And then it was, as they were kind of getting into it, Paul Williams was like, I am not scary enough. I'm little. He literally said that. He's like, I'm too little to play the Phantom, because Paul Williams stands like 5'3".
Oh yeah.
He's a little guy. And so then, you know, we'll meet Beef later, but Beef is I don't know who's my favorite character in this movie, but Beef may be it. I love that fucking character.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, you know, Garrett Graham plays Beef. Now, originally they thought Garrett Graham was going to play Swan.
Okay.
So when Paul was like, I can't do Winslow and the Phantom, he was like, but I could be Swan. Like that could be something I could do. So, you know, they switched him to Swan, and then they switched Garrett Graham to Beef, and then William Finley to the Phantom finally. So it was
That's funny. Okay, so speaking of these characters, I have input on this, okay?
Okay.
First of all, Beef looks like an old-time statue with his curly hair.
Are you talking about with the because he does have like cherub hair?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think through this whole
like
thing.
He is such a combo of stuff. Like his hair is kind of reminiscent of the Golden Girls in one scene.
Yes.
And he also looks like he's a combination of like David Bowie and like Captain Beefheart and like just a bunch of people mixed together into one glam rock god that we have here.
And then you said that Leech is scarier than Swan.
Yeah.
Or he's supposed to be. Well, to me, I did not interpret it that way.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's the thing, because I think Paul Williams was more fit to play such a charismatic character.
Yeah.
You know, he's almost like a used car salesman. He can talk you into anything. He has that charm about him. And like Paul Williams has said, you know, at the time, he was like, you know, now that I'm older, I look back and I think you really need to get on your knees and thank God that you got to play this. But he was like, at the time, I was feeling sexy. I was feeling powerful and stuff, because this is almost near the height of his career. 74, you know, he's writing big hits for Three Dog Night and the Carpenters and all sorts of people.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's feeling at the height of his career. So he had an ego about him. So I think he really turned loose with that ego in this movie.
Yeah. Because to me, Swan is more of a villain. Well, obviously, I don't know.
That's why I call the Phantom an anti-hero.
Okay.
Because he's kind of the hero of the movie, but he goes about things, you know, that's what an anti-hero is. It's somebody who goes about things the wrong way to get the good stuff done.
Right.
It's very, I don't know, the Punisher is an anti-hero. That's as far, you know, that's the best example I can get for you, because you haven't seen anything.
Right. Well, anyway. So Philbin goes to see Leech, and he tells him that Swan likes his sound. He says that Leech has a long way to go, but he needs a tape of Leech's stuff. Leech doesn't have a tape, but he does have it all written down.
Yeah.
He says it's much more than just songs, though. It's a series of songs telling a story about Faust, the great magician who sold his soul to the devil. Philbin says that he thinks the Juicy Fruits are going to dig it, and Leech gets pissed off and pushes Philbin against the wall.
He's like, I'm not going to let those grease balls ruin my movie or my music.
And Philbin says it's Swan's choice, though, and Leech finally agrees.
Now, Winslow Leech was actually named after a teacher that Bill Finley and I'm going to keep calling him Bill because everybody calls him Bill in the commentaries and stuff. So I'm sorry, everybody. But, you know, the character was named after a teacher they had who was the kindest person ever. But then he could have this short little temper.
Oh.
you know, that could flare up if you insulted him or something like that. And so that comes across here in this character. Now, I'm going to, you know, I'll kind of touch on Phantom's satire throughout this show, but I'm not going to go too deep into it because I think everybody gets the satire in this movie.
I hope so.
I hope it. Well, you know, there's no subtlety about any of the satire in this film.
Right.
It's all on its sleeve. But it's always been known how recording industries use talent, you know, talented songwriters for material and then has a lesser talented person perform the song.
Right.
You know how that works. The song often goes through rewrites to the point where the lyrics don't really make sense to how the artist is performing it.
Right.
You know, there's some songs you listen to that sound really happy, but then you listen to the lyrics and it's like, God, this is like, this is emotionally tortured person writing this song, but you're singing it like you're going to the beach.
Right.
I mean, how often do you hear about a person who actually wrote the songs behind some of the most famous musicians, you know? Like you don't hear it very often.
Yeah. I was explaining that to the girls at work because they were talking about, I don't remember, someone writing a song and I was like, they didn't write that.
No.
And they're like, what?
Most of your big pop artists don't write their own music.
Yeah.
That's something a lot of people they take for granted. And so you have like these songwriters who are actually writing this stuff, who actually feel it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Winslow's the same way. You know, he goes through this movie only wanting to sing his stuff until he meets Phoenix later on. But
right.
like, because he's the only one that feels like he understands the emotion behind it, which he kind of does. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, take Elvis, for example. Elvis didn't write any of his music.
I'm not surprised.
Arguably his most famous hits he didn't write. All Shook Up, Don't Be Cruel, Return to Sender. Those were all written by African-American songwriter Otis Blackwell. Now who has an Otis Blackwell shirt?
Right.
Do you have any Otis Blackwell Black Velvet paintings on your wall? No. In fact, if you're a fan of early rock and roll, unless it was a black artist, typically they didn't write it into their fucking songs. I think Otis Blackwell wrote Great Balls of Fire.
Oh, wow.
By Jerry Lee Lewis, you know. Well, one of my favorite pop artists, Sia, she wrote songs for Britney Spears, Katy Perry, Kelly Clarkson.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Elvis goes, I don't think he wrote any songs when you stop to think about it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. God, his hits were, you know, the people who wrote his hits were actually forced into the shadows and had to accept like super greatly reduced royalties. Like a lot of them didn't get paid. Like,
why?
Yeah, because Colonel Parker, you know, that guy, the man who killed Elvis. That was Elvis's manager.
Oh, okay. I was like, what
know.
are you talking about?
But we could do a whole podcast on Elvis. I'm not going to go into it.
No, please don't.
No.
So 1 month later, Leach goes to Death Records, the production company, and he tells the receptionist his name, and she looks it up. Under his name, or above his name, it just says, never to be seen. So she sets off an alarm, and he runs out of the building, and we get a couple cartoonish.
It's a Benny Hill,
things.
Man. It is a Benny Hill sequence where they're fast forwarding motion and running around to the vaudeville, the George Tibbet score.
It's silly.
I love it. Like you went into this not knowing it was a comedy, I think, because you looked at me, you were like, I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm like, no, it's a comedy. It's fine. Like, you're supposed to laugh.
Whatever emotion it brings to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So he hides and sees Swan's car leave the studio. He gets in a taxi and follows the car to a big building thing. He jumps the wall. Why are you laughing at me? I don't know what it is. Is it a hotel? Is it Swan's house? I'm very confused.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, well, Swan's house then. Whatever.
Or it might be that
They don't tell us it's okay. It's
yeah,
just a place where
it's one of the many places that Swan's at.
Yes.
I mean, you have the Swanage, which is what Swan calls his mansion. Yes. I love that. He calls it the fucking Swanage.
So weird. Anyway, so Leech goes inside and there are a bunch of women waiting and practicing his song. He stops and talks to one of them. This is Phoenix.
Uh-huh.
And she says that she got the music from Philbin to audition with. He says he wrote the song, and the women are telling him that his name's not on the music. They're like,
Yeah.
what the hell? They don't know who you are. They tell him that Swan is opening the paradise with this music, though. And Phoenix says that she needs his help to get a part in the chorus. He says, of course, because he thinks she's terrific. Okay, bro. Did you even listen to her singing?
I mean, it is kind of cute because when they meet, he's teaching her, he's singing with her
Yeah.
and stuff, and she's getting the emotion that what's in the music, and
Right.
that's how they connect and stuff. And so, and I love the little line he gives her because she's like, "You're not just saying that," like, because she's like, "Are you saying that because you like me?" He's like, "No, I never let my opinions affect my judgment." It's like, yeah, he likes you.
Yes.
He likes you too. But no, like he meets Phoenix and he knows right away that she's somebody who could sing his music, whereas nobody else can. Before it, he was like, only I can sing the music.
But then he meets Phoenix.
Yes. Boom, boom, boom.
So they start letting the girls in this room, but the bouncer guy won't let Leech in because he's a man.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I love you. But Jessica Harper. Can we just stop the podcast for a minute?
Let's take a moment of silence for that beautiful creature.
Yes, Harper, who plays Phoenix here, of course, we know her from Suspiria.
Speaking of that,
Yeah, what?
we did our Suspiria episode 2 years ago.
Wow, really?
Yes,
That's
2 years ago
interesting.
today or yesterday.
We're recording this on Saturday, so yeah, 2 years ago Friday we did Suspiria. Interesting. That's interesting how that worked out. But we know her from Suspiria. We also I know her also from the underrated sequel to Rocky Horror, Shock Treatment, which she does an amazing job in that. She plays Janice. Yeah. Janet. Sorry. not
Janet.
Janice. Who the fuck is Janice?
I know you. That's why I was looking at you funny.
I'm so sorry. But this was actually her first big role. I think she was like 24 here. She began singing in college in a theater class she was enrolled in. And the teacher there put more of an emphasis on musical theater. So she learned to sing and dance early on. She said for this movie, there was no problem with singing and dancing. It was the acting that she was a little rusty on. But she said William Finley kind of took her under his wing and stuff, and he gave her tips and stuff, and they were kind of like buddies on set.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the chemistry there, I think these two actors have very good chemistry. That's the cool part about this movie. Usually a movie like this, you're not worried about chemistry because the actors just have none because it's all independent. But I think they have really good chemistry here. But she discovered she had a really good voice in that theater class. And I describe her voice as kind of a Karen Carpenter kind of voice, kind of a husky kind of.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's really good. I like this kind of voice.
I like your voice.
Whoa. But actually, that's what impressed Paul Williams. When he had her audition, he had her come in and sing Superstar by the Carpenters. A song actually written by Leon Russell and I believe his partner. But after she dropped out of college, there's going to be a lot of random music facts, you guys.
Okay.
This is a really hard episode for me because I like music and I like movies. So you're just getting a machine gun of me. Enjoy. But, after she dropped out of college, she got a role on stage with the Broadway version of Hair. And she didn't have any training when she got the role for Phantom, like I said. So, William Finley helping her out really.
Helped her out.
Yeah, helped her out. Shit. Okay, what's really cool about these two characters, like the way they represent the people that get screwed over by the music industry, is Winslow, of course, is the songwriter. Like he's very much the person that gets shoved to the side and basically gets his shit stolen.
Right.
And then she's the one that gets like all sorts of like addicted to the crowds and gets shown
Oh, the
fame,
fame,
and
yeah.
fortune and stuff like that. You know, she gets addicted to that and they use her that way. You know, I
Right.
mean, look at Britney Spears. Like, go no further to see that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Free Britney.
Yeah, that shit happens in real life, which is really crazy. It's a well-known thing. You know, that was one of the comments about this movie when it first came out, is because people were saying, well, why are they satirizing something that's already a fucking joke, like in real life? You know,
Oh.
because this is all well-known stuff that the music industry does. And
Right.
the entertainment industry does that in a whole. I mean, go look up the biography of Judy Garland to learn more about what movies can do to you. Oh,
Oh shit.
oh, it's bad. But Jessica Harper has always had this haunting quality that makes her fascinating to watch in movies.
Yes.
Have you noticed that? Like
Yes.
in Suspiria, I think the only movies you've seen her in is this and Suspiria. And
Yes.
she's very interesting, you know. Which in Suspiria, it's very interesting because she has to do more physical acting. You know, she acts more with her body than she does with her voice or her talking or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. So the girls are all shoved in a room, and as the doors are shutting, you see a dude, maybe Philbin, I don't know, but he's like getting on top of one of them. Well, Phoenix comes running out, and she's upset, and she said that she just wants to sing. She does not want to get a part this way.
Yeah. It's the old casting couch is what's happening there. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
She runs off, and then two men come out and walk up to Leech really slow, and then they carry him off.
Yes.
So now we're thrown into a room with a bunch of women on a bed. One of them wants to know when they get to sing, and what the other one of the other ones, I don't know. She said she's been here 12 times and she hasn't ever sang.
She just keeps getting to come back.
Yes. So the women tell her that Swan is watching them right now and he likes to watch the girls get together. Then the door opens and Swan is walking in, and then we see Leech is pretending to be a woman.
I love it.
By the way, Swan looks like Elton John.
You kept saying that, and I was like, yeah, I guess a little. You know, I don't think he's as flashy as Elton John, though. Like,
Okay,
he
we're
needs
not
to be
talking about
flashier.
that. We're talking about his face
Oh,
and
yeah?
his hair and his glasses. Like, we're not talking about the flashiness.
You know, Elton John didn't write most of his music either.
I'm not surprised.
But he was very famous about sharing with his songwriter. Like, he's had the same songwriter like through
yeah.
all of his career.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So then Swan calls someone in to get Leech out of there.
Which I like how Swan enters the room through a fog and red lights like, oh, hey, here's the devil. like I said,
What?
the satire is on the sleeve here. They're not hiding things. You're supposed to know what's happening. But a lot of the ADR voice work here, though, you know, during this orgy scene where the girls are talking to each other.
Uh-huh.
A lot of that's ADR voice work. That was provided by Betty Buckley. She originally auditioned for a role for this movie, but she didn't get cast. De Palma, though, he kept her on because she had this skill with ADR, because in this part, it's pretty unnoticeable. I think it goes over pretty well. But
Right.
eventually, she would be cast as the gym teacher, Miss Collins, in De Palma's next film, Carrie.
When you said gym teacher, I for some reason thought of Carrie.
Well, there you go. It's Carrie's gym teacher telling girls that they like blondes. Anyway,
She was like, I like blondes.
I don't know why this scene cracks me up, but anyway, he does kind of look like Elton John in a way. And anyway,
I fucking told you.
to me though, he looks more like Phil Spector, which is really what Brian De Palma was going
But
for.
I don't know who the fuck Phil Spector is.
I know.
so-
That's what I mean. Like, if you don't know who Phil Spector is, he's the famous out of his mind music producer, and he was a little dude too, kind of like Swan. You know.
Okay.
In fact, I think early drafts of this film, the character had the name Spectre instead of Swan, which is very on the nose. Come on, De Palma. But, but they probably changed it to avoid adding more lawsuits to the stack of lawsuits.
We don't need any more lawsuits.
But playing Swan, like I said, is the incredible Paul Williams. And you can't really say much to do this man justice. We'd have to have an entire podcast dedicated to Paul Williams and still not brush his many accomplishments. It's his music that got Phantom an Academy Award nomination. You know, even though this movie bombed at the box office, still, it got an Academy Award nomination for original song and score and adaptation, and a Golden Globe for the best original score. Now, Paul Williams wrote some of the biggest hits for acts of the 70s, including Old Fashioned Love Song, you know. Just an old-fashioned love song. God damn, I love that song. Anyway, that was for Three Dog Night. We've Only Just Begun by the Carpenters. You know that song?
No.
We've only just begun.
Yes. Okay.
I can't sing like Karen Carpenter. Anyway, and then David Bowie's Fill Your Heart. He wrote that too.
Okay.
You've heard his music without even knowing it was him. You
Right.
know, he, of course, is known for score and lyrics of the film Bugsy Malone from 1976, Rainbow Connection in the Muppet movie.
That's why you keep singing it.
That's why I keep singing Rainbow Connection. I mean, the man gave us the music to one of the most innocent and pure images in film history. Kermit the Frog singing Rainbow Connection in his swamp with a banjo. Goddamn. Goddamn.
Okay.
Like if you're ever having a bad day, just look up Rainbow Connection by Kermit the Frog and you'll be having a good day.
And just cry
Just cry.
because it's so beautiful.
Someday we'll find it.
The
Rainbow Connection. Anyway. I don't know how we made a Kermit reference, but anyway, chugging along. But you know, it wasn't just music that he did. Like he was very multi-talented. He was also an actor. He played Little Enos Burdett in Smokey and the Bandit, one of my favorite movies that isn't horror. And
Hey, I've seen that movie.
you have seen it. He's the little guy with
What a
cowboy hat.
surprise. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've seen
yeah.
that movie.
Yeah. And he still shows up in movies too. In 2017, he played the Butcher, which is an arms dealer in Baby Driver. And also he's a voice actor. He was the voice of the Penguin in the Batman the Animated Series. Again,
that's cool.
Yeah, again, we will be forever covering the multi-talented Paul Williams if you'll let me, but I'll move on. I'll just say this. I don't think this movie would have had the same kick without his music and lyrics to it. You know, as we said at the top of the hour, the music in this thing can be, even if you don't like this movie, you got to like the music.
Right. Right.
It's just so catchy. Phantom of the Paradise, you know, it was because of his music and stuff. And this whole movie, you know, it influenced tons of other people. Daft Punk claims that they based their entire image and ideal off of Phantom of the Paradise.
Okay. Okay.
They saw this movie, you know, they were based in France. Daft Punk is from France. And this movie was huge over there. Super popular when it came out. When it first came out, they saw it 20 times.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they loved this movie. They even had Paul Williams come on board their last album, Random Access Memories. You know, I love Daft Punk. I could go on about them all day.
I don't even. Is Daft Punk a band?
You know their song that they did with Pharrell Williams, "Get Lucky."
It's not ringing a bell.
I can't do beatboxing. What am I doing? She's up all night to get.
Oh.
She's up all night to get lucky.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes,
that
yes.
song. That's Daft Punk.
Okay.
And then one more time, I wanna celebrate. All right, anyway.
I got it.
Brittany's like, please stop. Please stop torturing the listeners. But anyway, even Guillermo del Toro loved this fucking movie. And he brought Williams on board to score Pan's Labyrinth. You know, the list goes on of influences. This, yeah.
Damn. So Leach gets woken up by the police and they want to know what he's doing there. And he asks for help. Well, they just plant drugs on him and arrest him.
I just drink a fly in my beer.
Ew.
Oh God. Anyway, we'll move on.
You got some protein.
Oh God. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I interrupted the podcast. I drank a beer fly.
Ew. I mean,
Okay.
it could be worse.
Okay. Continue.
Maybe you'll get extra drunk
No, not with the beer fly. You got to put cherries in your alcohol.
in your beer fly.
Now that is something I want to see. Somebody stretching a fly over a cherry. What are we doing? We're talking about Phantom of the Bear.
Anyway,
Anyway, sorry for that distraction.
so they plant drugs on him, and they're talking about. One of the officers says, "You know what you get if you got caught with these drugs or whatever." And then you see a judge give him life. He
Yeah.
says life and puts the gavel down.
The way this is all designed and laid out and the way De Palma shoots it, it's like a fucking comic book.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
I would say this is as close to a comic book movie as we'll get with De Palma.
yeah. And then we see Leech yell, and he says Swan stole his music and framed him.
Uh-huh.
Then Leech is at prison. It's called Sing Sing Prison.
Which is a real prison, but I think that pun is right on the nose. With the
Yes,
same.
yes. So the newbies are meeting with the warden, and he says that they are included in a dental health research program. He says this program is funded by the Swan program on a volunteer basis, and all of their teeth will be pulled because teeth are a source of infection, and it pays to be safe. Leech says he's not a volunteer, and he's innocent and doesn't want his teeth out.
I love how they're like, okay, who else is
Who's
innocent
innocent?
here? Everybody raise your hand. It's like everybody.
Everybody, yes.
William Finley has always said it was his goal to become the Laurence Olivier of horror. I think he
Okay.
did a little bit, but he loved this genre, and you can tell. I think that's why out of all his roles, I feel like he's having the most fun here.
Okay.
He is having a good time with this character.
Okay.
And everybody did. Everybody had a great time on this movie. So De Palma wanted to work away from the old tried and true method of musicals like we talked about, Where he places the musical numbers, it's right at it's like a climax to the dramatic moments of the film.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So that's why I think it doesn't feel like this movie. This movie clips. It moves.
Oh, yes.
Like
very much.
there
so.
not a moment where you're like, oh, another song. Okay. Like it just keeps going. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's because of how they place the music in this and how we said this doesn't feel like a musical,
Yeah.
even though it kind of is. Like
Kind of. But
Kinda.
kind of not. I don't know.
rock opera.
Rock opera. A rockra.
A
No,
rockra.
I don't know.
Rockra sounds like some kind of shitty vegetable. I don't like rockra. It's too slimy.
Anyway, so 6 months later, Leech is working at the prison, and someone has a radio, and we hear the Juicy Fruits are opening the paradise with his song.
I love it because he's standing there looking crazed with these
He's
silver
like-
teeth.
He's like, no, no. So he freaks out and jumps on the guard and beats him up. And then he runs over to this conveyor belt thing, jumps in a box, hides. I'm going to use air quotes here because everybody's watching him. And he gets out of the prison. He then runs to Death Records and starts. He goes inside and he starts breaking the records and stuff. And he opens the machine that makes the records, and he gets caught on it, and it smashes and burns the side of his face. So he runs out and ends up falling into a body of water. So we get to see a newspaper of the Juicy Fruits opening the paradise, and then an article about Leech that says he's dead and his body was never recovered.
Bum, bum, bum. And I love how this newspaper comes spinning into view.
Yes. Did you hurt your hand when you did that?
I did. I just hit the desk when I had to do. I gotta remember this is an audio medium. Nobody can see me doing the hand spinny thing.
No,
It doesn't matter.
except for the cat. You scared the cat.
Yes, I did actually scare the cat. But anyway, this record press that poor Leech gets his head stuck in, that was a real press. It was an injection molding thing at the Ideal Toy Company plant where they shot this sequence. According to William Finley, they fitted it with foam pads and put chocks between the plates to stop it from actually crushing his head.
Oh, that's good.
But the press was so strong it broke the chocks, and it kept gradually closing.
Oh shit.
So they had he luckily got out of there before it like closed all the way. But
Oh,
supposedly, I don't know if this is true. Suppose that scream you hear is it wasn't acting. He was actually scared.
So then we see a POV of someone walking and breathing heavy. We know it's fucking Leech. So Leech is walking to the paradise and scaring everyone that sees him.
Yeah, I love that too because he comes out and he's like, and like this dude's like, "What's that?"
Yes. So he goes backstage and then he goes into the wardrobe room. He finds a costume and a mask and puts it on. He has a bomb and he puts it in one of the props that's going to go on stage. And they're having rehearsal on stage.
Yeah, for the beach bums.
For the beach bums, yes.
I love how they all have wigs on, like the three guys that are the main band. They got like blonde wigs on in this.
Instead of getting goof people, they just put wigs on them.
Yeah, which I think adds to it's funny.
Oh, yeah.
So a few things. I love how we immediately go into slasher territory with that POV. But also here...
You did not let me tell them that the car explodes.
Oh, sorry.
Well, the car explodes.
Dang. Just getting snappy tonight.
You just interrupted me again.
I thought that was my thing. I thought that was the bit.
I'm
I
gonna
interrupt you.
I'm going to take this bomb and put it in your car and make it explode when you're doing your rehearsals in the car.
Why did I... No, never mind. Well, I was like, is that like some kind of sex thing? I'm going to put my bomb in your trunk.
No. Oh, I did break into the van though today.
Did you? How?
Yes. That back door is open.
It is?
It's unlocked, I mean.
Oh, I need to lock that.
I needed the car seat.
Oh, shit.
And I looked and I was like, oh, that's unlocked.
Dang, Brittany breaking into the van.
So I made the kid jump
You
over
crawl
the
in there?
seat, hand me the car seat, and then jump back over.
By the way, when I buy that van from my parents, yes, I'm buying a van from my parents, but I'm going to turn it into the Night of the Horror File tour mobile. It's going to be great. I don't know where we're touring to, but
No, you're not.
so of course you get the Juicy Fruits, who are now the Beach Bums here, but you also get the split screen, the Brian De Palma split screen.
Yes.
Man, I love split screen. I don't know what it is in in anyone else's movies. I would get annoyed, right, by a split screen, but Brian De Palma does it so well. You know,
It's great because you're seeing two different things happening at one time.
yeah, and he does all his little tricks in this movie, stuff that would really define him as he would go on. You know, because like in Carrie, he uses split screen. You see a little bit of split screen diopter and stuff here and there. You know, that shallow effect and stuff like that. And he does it all in this movie. You get a lot of that. But of course, like this, the idea for this bomb scene. This was like an homage to Orson Welles in the opening of Touch of Evil. A scene like this is happening where it's like a split screen and there's a bomb and stuff like that.
Oh,
So it's very much a throwback to that, which is one of my favorite Orson Welles movies. And yes, I own it. Now,
what movie don't?
Brittany has been fighting with me because she's like, "Where are you going to put new movies? You're out of room." I'm like, okay. Got to get new shelves. That's what we got to get. And then you're like, where are you going to put the shelves? We don't need the kids. We can just move them into each other's rooms and I'll have one room. Anyway.
No.
Before she gets real mad. But now, if you haven't picked up on it by now, Paul Williams is really just poking fun at different styles of rock through this entire movie.
Yeah.
You know, you start out with Sha Na Na, then you go to the Beach Boys here.
Oh, I was like, that's not the name of the band. I understand what you're
Brittany
saying.
got confused.
I did.
But, you know, he's kind of poking fun at it, but also like Paul Williams loved all this styles of music. So really in this movie, he's poking fun, but also it's in good humor, you know?
Right.
It's not mean. But like, you do get like a smorgasbord of sound here. A lot of this is all based off of Winslow's work. Just it's been taken and it's been twisted.
Yeah.
Because you notice like during like at least the verses of this Upholstery song. Upholstery. I had that song stuck in my head for a few days. But you know, at least the verses of this sounds a lot like that Faust song that Winslow Leach is singing. after the juicy fruits at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is because it's kind of showing how like the industry takes things that are good and just twists them
Yeah.
into
To whatever
something.
they
Yeah,
want
to
do.
whatever they want to do, and then they make money off of that.
So we see Swan watching the tapes back, and he sees Leech in the costume watching the bomb go off. Then Leech grabs Swan, and Swan says killing him won't help. He makes Leech look at himself in the mirror, and he is disgusted with himself and making weird noises. Swan says they can start over and they can work together and make music that people will want to listen to. He says he will put a group together and Leech can do his songs his way. So Leech agrees and then runs off.
And I don't know if you noticed, but there is a lot of bird motifs in this movie.
Yes.
You know, the logo, well, the logo now, after they had to change it from Swan Song to Death Records. You know, you got the logo, you got the dead sparrow and stuff like that. Swan's name, Phoenix's name. And then, of course, you have the Phantom. He looks like a big bird, like a crow almost.
Yeah.
And that was William Finley's idea, along with the costume designer, Rosanna Norton. But more on the music of this film. Every character is defined by the relationship with music.
Yeah.
You know? For Winslow, music is everything. It's his main driving force. We honestly don't know that much else about him.
No.
Like it's very interesting to me, isn't it? And you don't know much else about any of the other characters either. I mean, you kind of know more about Swan than you do anyone,
Yeah.
which is is very interesting.
That's
to me.
weird. I never thought
Yeah.
of it like that.
Yeah, it's all defined on their relationship with music because Swan uses the music,
Yes.
whereas Winslow creates. And then, well, I guess, you know, I'm getting really metaphysical with Phantom of the Paradise, but then like, I guess Phoenix would be more the person who helps the creator out. Maybe is the performer. I do. What would you say her relationship with music is?
The vanity of music.
She's the beauty.
The beauty of music.
Yeah, she's the face of the music.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
There we go.
Yeah,
That's what I
okay.
meant.
Yeah, that's a good one. Sorry, I hit a discussion point.
You didn't expect my answer.
No, I
either.
didn't. I love that. But Swan is more, you know, like I said, he's more manipulating everyone in this whole entire movie.
Oh, yeah.
So he's more about the using of the music and just using it for the monetary gains. But also, you know, this film carries a lot of metaphors that I think that I think are kind of lost on a lot of people who aren't super into this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I'm into every movie, so not saying I picked up on every metaphor, so I'm sure there's more. Like I'll leave it up to the super Phantom fans, Phantom fans. That's what I'm gonna call y'all. But to really educate me if y'all want. But I noticed the use of mirrors in this movie.
So many mirrors.
A lot of use of mirrors. The mirrors could represent that these people who have sold their souls for fame and money are pretty much just images of their former selves.
Oh.
You know, just shallow reflections in a mirror.
That's
you
a
know,
deep thought.
At the very beginning, when the Juicy Fruits are playing, they stop. Nobody can really see Swan because he's behind a two-way mirror, but they know he's there. They feel his presence,
Mm-hmm.
and they all just stop and look.
Yeah,
into
like
that
they
mirror.
can see something, but they
Yeah.
can't.
And they don't, and then as soon as he claps and they go off, it's very weird, you know, that way. And I like the use of mirrors in this movie. And De Palma also uses mirrors to capture the moments when characters throw away any morals or sense of self-identity, if you notice that.
Yeah.
You know, you see it later with Phoenix, you know, when he has her sign a contract, she's laying right next to a mirror.
Oh, you're
And you
right.
don't really see it because De Palma, as soon as she signs the contract, then De Palma splits the screen and you see, well, not a split screen. That's not what I mean, but
Yeah.
he splits it to where you see the mirror now
Yes.
and stuff. And same with Swan when he signs his contracts, it's through a mirror.
Oh, you're
And
right.
William Finley's character of Winslow, there's not so much a mirror when he signs the contract, but when he agrees to Swan, when he really gets swayed over,
Mm-hmm.
they're in like a whole hall of mirrors.
You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
I just find that very interesting, just
Yeah.
the use of that. And like I said, I'm looking real deep into Phantom of the Paradise right now.
Deep.
Yeah, but you know, it just shows like these characters throwing away their morals and self-identity for the promises of desire and fame.
Just like the music industry.
Exactly.
Exactly like that. So Philbin is holding an audition for someone to sing with Leech. Phoenix is there, and Philbin says they are looking for screamers, not singers.
Uh-huh.
So she goes to walk off because she's mad.
Yeah.
She just wants to fucking sing. But Swan comes over the mic, and he wants to know what she would give to sing. And she says anything that he wants. And he asks her for her voice. So the band starts to play, and she starts to sing. And Swan says that she's good.
Yeah, and you know, and Winslow's there, and he agrees, of course.
Yes.
Jessica Harper said recording this stuff under Paul's guidance was fantastic. You know, he apparently was nice as hell, which isn't a surprise because William just seems like Paul Williams seems like the nicest man in the world.
Yeah.
Like even as this character is Swan, he still just seems super nice. You know, like I don't know. He's just a charming little guy. So. I didn't mean that as an insult at all. But so I never actually saw this movie until I was much older. You know, I was right out of high school when I saw it, in my 20s, I think. And I graduated high school when I was 19, people. But I got held back. But when I got to see it during the days of internet piracy.
Oh, wow.
Anybody remember when it was like we all thought it was a harmless crime to steal movies?
Yes.
Oh, I don't support. You know, I should probably clear that up because a lot of people don't know because they'll send me websites of bootleg DVDs I can order and stuff like that. I don't really support bootleg movies or piracy anymore. I'm not big on it.
Yeah.
And stuff. I don't know. It's my thing.
You may think that piracy is a victimless crime, but it is not.
Dun, dun, dun. But, you know, I just feel like movies are so available and most of the time they're very cheap.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to buy the physical copy, you can go pay like $10 and buy a digital copy. So I just think movies are very cheap to get nowadays.
Yeah.
So there's no sense in downloading all these movies.
I agree.
Plus, I don't want to spend 6 years in prison. Fuck that. Not over a movie. Could you imagine that? Because I know it'd be a stupid movie, like fucking, I don't know. It'd be Dumb and Dumber. Like I'd go to jail. I'd be in prison. And somebody like, what you went for? I downloaded Dumb and Dumber.
They'd be like,
Get
you're
my
the
ass
Dumb and
beat.
Dumber.
But anyway, and by the way, I'm not going to hate on anybody who actually does that. Don't tell me you do it. In comments on Twitter, you'll get arrested. But because I think we can kind of sympathize on overinflated prices of these older movies. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the money, it's debatable if it actually goes to the people who created it. I'm just saying, you know, I mean, we're talking about a satire of industry here that kind of uses artists for their creations to make money off of. So it's debatable. But anyway, my pirating days of the internet seas are over. But the only way I knew what this movie even was back when I was a kid in the 90s was a little horror compilation called Terror in the Isles. I actually own this, but it's probably the best horror clip show ever created. See, kids, before YouTube, if you wanted to watch a collection of scenes from movies, you had to march your ass to the video store and rent one of these compilation tapes. I dated myself right there. I just said
so.
Tapes. I just said tape.
Oh my God.
Videotape. You had to rent a VCR in some situations, but
oh shit.
But no, there was a ton of these back in the day, and I only have two. I only know of two that survived into the DVD era. There's probably more, but I have Boogeymen Volume 1, and I also have Terror in the Isles.
Okay. I've never heard of these such things.
I'll have to pop one on for you. They're kind of
you.
blissful. It's all the best scenes from these horror movies put in one compilation.
That sounds fun.
It's a fun time, especially Terror in the Isles, because they make a deal about it. Donald Pleasance and Nancy Allen host it.
Oh, wow.
I think Nancy Allen hosts it. Ooh, I'll have to go back. Karen Allen, I think. I don't know. Oh, shit. My brain just popped.
It's okay that you don't know. You know that, right?
I'm losing my mind. Anyway. Let's get back to this movie. We're not talking about
Okay. So then we see Leech trying to sing and play piano, and it sounds horrible because he's lost his voice. And Swan is in the control room trying to put filters on the music to try and make it better. By the way, are they fucking filters? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't know what they were
He's
called.
running it through a control booth, a soundboard, and
Okay.
he's putting filters, applying volumes, and punching up Dolbys and all sorts of shit.
Right. So Swan says that he can sing if his voice box is hooked up to the console, and Leach says that Phoenix could be his voice. Swan says he needs to stop terrorizing the paradise and rewrite his, how do I say that word?
Cantata.
Cantata.
Mhm.
I was like, I don't know how to say that word. He needs to rewrite his cantata.
It's okay.
Cantata?
I really can't say anything of all the words I've fucked up on this show.
Is it cantata?
Cantata. Mhm.
Okay. Anyway, he needs to rewrite it for Phoenix. Swan says that he has 1 week, and Leach doesn't trust him, but Swan has a big ass contract for him to
I
sign.
fucking love this contract signing scene because he said Leach is like going over it and like, well, what's this mean?
Right.
Oh, that's for you. Oh, okay.
But he never really explains what it is.
No, because he's basically signing away his soul, as we come to find out.
And Leach is like, oh, okay, whatever. So Leach agrees, and Swan makes him sign in his own blood.
Which should be your tip off, I think. That something's not going right. If the guy wanting you to sign is like, here, sign in your own blood.
I need a blood oath.
I'm just buying a car, mister. Sign in your blood. Anyway. So definitely, like I said, Swan is very much like Phil Spector. Spector was a goddamn maniac. You know, I didn't really talk about him, but he had this mysterious air to him and stuff, and no one could quite lock down, and he's just very unbalanced. I mean, the man killed Lana Clarkson.
Did he?
Yeah, he killed his girlfriend. But Spector would pull guns on musicians to get them to play better.
What the
Like,
fuck?
he was fucking nuts. He got beat up by a bunch of like bikers at one point, and so he always carried a gun with him. Like, because these
Good.
bikers, like, because he was a dick. It was good. It was fun. he produced some of the best albums known to man, but he was still a fucking crazy person.
That's okay.
It's debatable on whether that crazy helped the albums or not. I mean, one story had him producing the Ramones' Rock and Roll High School. They were doing that song, and he forced them to play the same opening guitar chord over and over again for 8 fucking hours.
What the fuck?
And think about that, the poor fucking Ramones. just these little 20-something-year-olds just locked in a room with Phil fucking Spector and a gun.
Ooh, that's creepy.
Anyway, in fact, like, he got so pissed off at him at one point because they were trying to leave that he pulled a gun on him and made him play one of his hits.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh God.
So he was not right in the head.
No. But he did produce one of the Ramones' best albums.
Okay.
I don't know.
At the expense of the Ramones. Okay.
He's in prison now, which is good. So
Anyway. Then we see Leach writing his music by candlelight. I thought that was so funny, by the way. I don't know why.
it's funny. It's funny.
And there's a sweet song playing in the background.
Which I love how, you know, because Swan works his voice and he's like, oh, it's perfect and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking Swan's voice.
So we keep seeing Phoenix and a clock. What is this fucking camera
Time's
shot?
going. It's hard to explain this camera shot.
Okay.
It is all pure Brian De Palma artistry.
But I mean, everybody's probably seen it before. Where
It's a
like,
nice way to do a kind of a montage is what he's doing here.
Yeah,
of
montage.
showing
There
you
you go.
that time is flowing.
right.
Yeah.
Then we get Swan talking to Philbin, and he says that Phoenix is out and is only going to be a backup singer. He says his cantata needs something heavy. Yes, I had to say it like that, okay? Then we see all these people auditioning, and this is the weird little scene too, because he's sitting in the middle of this table, this round record
Yeah, it's like a
table.
record table. It's actually kind of cool.
And as it goes around, there's different people auditioning.
It is a cool scene.
Yes.
Because like somebody lights up and stuff. There's people moving in the background. It's neat.
Yeah.
One of these singers here, that country guy who's singing, I believe that guy's, I think that guy sang for Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Cool.
Sorry. Again, I apologize for all the weird music facts that are popping out of my ass tonight.
So Swan ends up picking a weird curly haired dude.
Beef.
This would be Beef. Then we get a song sequence again with Leech writing and playing music.
Yeah, it's Beef. I love that fucking name. I think his name was Captain Beef in the script, the early script, but they probably changed that again because Captain Beefheart existed, and they probably didn't want another lawsuit.
Probably.
But Beef, who we come to find out is chosen mostly, I think he's just chosen because it's the complete opposite of what Winslow wanted, and it's like he's trying to ruin the music.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's pretty much
He's going out of his way to
ruin the music, but make it sellable to the crowd, which is very, very interesting.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Kind of like going out of your way to ruin superheroes. But anyway,
Marvel? Okay.
but Beef is played by the terribly underrated actor Garrett Graham, man. Garrett Graham's very underrated. Bud the Chud himself, which these references are for you guys, not Brittany.
I was like, what did you just call me?
I don't think you've seen a movie with Garrett Graham in it. But he's actually very good. I mean, my favorite Garrett Graham role, though, is always in the movie that isn't a horror movie, which is Used Cars. He's hilarious in that. He plays the superstitious used car salesman.
Okay.
Which everybody knows what I'm talking about, I'm sure.
What if they don't?
I hope some of you guys have seen Used Cars, because if you haven't, like, go see that.
Go.
I'm going to write a book of movies these people need to see, like our listeners.
Aren't we doing that right now?
These big book of movies.
Aren't we doing that right now?
Yeah, kind of. Just listen. If I suggest a movie, go watch it. I'm just going to tell you this now. But anyway, but sorry. So when they approached him, and they were talking about how they wanted Garrett to play this, to play Beef. They were like, "Can you play him more like Little Richard?" And of course, Garrett's like, "More African American? Like, what are we talking about?" And they were like, no. More, more flamboyant.
Oh shit.
And so Garrett, of course, he's like, "You want me to play him like this?"
Yeah.
Yes, that's perfect.
Great.
And that's Beef. And I find it hilarious. I know a lot of people, which I'm not going to explain why Beef might be a problematic character. I'm so fucking tired of that. I'm sorry, I'm having a breakdown right now, but like, okay. I am so fucking tired about having to like talk about these movies. And not that we do it on this show, because I've always thought that was bullshit. I'm not going to talk about a movie from 1974 and explain how Beef might be a problematic character in 2021.
Right.
That's the stupidest, most waste of time thing you could possibly fucking do. We all know there's problematic characters back in the day. We all get it.
I agree.
We're all good. None of us are defending that Beef is kind of funny because he's gay. And that's kind of the humor of this character, but I'm not going to fucking go into it.
As you're going into it.
As I'm going into it. But it's still, honestly, you got to admit, though, doing that is such a waste of goddamn time.
It is. It is.
These people are like, oh, Frankenfurter's kind of a problematic character now because he's, yes, I know.
But
and they said the F word and not fuck a lot back in the 70s.
Yes.
So get over it, okay? Let's move forward.
Right.
Calm down.
We don't have to cancel everything.
No.
You know what we did? We learned from it, and we're not doing it anymore.
No one's playing Beef anymore, so let's just calm down.
Just
anyway.
Step away from them.
But so basically Garrett Graham went on to play Beef, kind of gay. And I don't know. It's funny to me because I didn't feel like they're making fun of gay people with this character. I felt like it's more just representative of these like rock and roll stars who are all super masculine and stuff, and then in reality they're just prissy kind of
Yeah.
kind of little soft dudes. And plus it's not even like it's funny because he's gay. It's funny because he's a goddamn maniac.
Yes. He's a little odd.
Yeah.
Might be the drugs.
Now Garrett Graham, you know, everybody in this movie lip syncs, obviously, because it's how you do a musical. But that's usually all them singing on the actual soundtrack, except for Garrett Graham. That's Ray Kennedy who is dubbed in over Garrett Graham singing. And I think, you know, they don't really talk about this very much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's because Garrett Graham couldn't really sing, or if it's because he sings in the shower scene. That's actually Garrett Graham singing, so he can carry a tune.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's mostly because through some of this he was sick. Like they said,
really?
he had a bad like virus or something going through him and stuff. Like here in a minute, you get him playing on stage as like that Frankenstein's monster that they build.
Yeah.
Well, they said he was like hot and cold the whole time and sweating his ass off, but he got on stage and performed.
Oh shit.
Like he pulled it off. But you know, so I think maybe that was part of the reason why it's mostly Ray. dubbed over.
Probably so. Yeah. Philbin meets with Swan as Swan is getting off of an airplane. Swan gets on a mic and he's talking to the press and says that their latest work is an opera. He said it was written by the late Winslow Leach, and it's a story of a young man that sells his soul to the devil to become a pop star. He says it will be the first rock version of Faust. They will be recording live Friday night on the Death label. Then he points out that the band singing, I said the band singing is called Beef, because I was very confused that this character's name is Beef.
I remember you asked me several times, you were like, his name's Beef? I was like, yes, his name is Beef.
I thought it was the whole band was Beef.
By the way, they superimpose the Death label Sparrow over everything that had Swan Song in this movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can still see where Swan Song is, though, on certain things, but it's kind of dark and you can barely see it. But this one is the worst of all of them, because this podium that Swan goes up to, it's the funniest thing, because this dead bird image is just shaking around like it's going through withdrawals on this fucking podium.
I was like, there's a continuity error, and you were like, I've seen this movie 100 times. No, there's not.
You caught a continuity error? I'm sure there is continuity, but like,
right.
But I was like, oh no, that's not continuity. That's just.
When you explained it made sense.
That's lawsuit aversion.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
but any other time, that would have been continuity. That was big error.
Yeah.
Which, actually, in my mind, is still kind of continuity. They could have made that better.
Maybe. You know, it was last minute that they had to throw up all these like covers over this thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
So Swan goes to talk to Leach, and he brings him a cocktail of pills.
Breakfast?
Yes. Leach says that he will be finished in time, and he also asks how Phoenix is doing. Swan says she's doing great and can't wait to meet him. So Swan leaves. We see like the bouncers. What are the fuck these people? I don't know. These people, they're bringing bricks.
You know, honestly, you can just call them henchmen. Because they are literally Swan's henchmen. He has a group of like Batman henchmen with him. Yes. Because like some of them are dressed in biker gear and stuff, and they got like these like, I don't know, what is that, quarterback marks underneath? Yes. He has literal Batman henchmen with him.
Yes, but they have a pile of bricks that will get used in a little bit.
What is that a fucking, do you feel like, I don't know, maybe you don't feel like it, but I feel like it's a reference to Cast of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah, no, I have no clue what
I
that
don't
is.
know, man. No one Brian De Palma, it probably is. He throws all his like interests into a movie. But anyway. So this room they are in with all the equipment, and you know, where he signs the thing and they seal him up in this, that's a real room, and that equipment is part of the Record Plant recording studio. It's called the Record Plant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like, what's the name? In reality, this thing you see, all these like towers with all this knobs and stuff. In reality, that's all part of a custom built Moog electronic synthesizer called Tonto. It was featured on a bunch of albums, including the electronica duo Tonto's Expanding Headband. And this thing still exists as part of a permanent exhibit at the National Music Center in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Any artist can go and use it. If I think there's, I mean, you got to pay, but
Right.
But that may not be super important to anybody else, like any film fans or anything. But I'm sure all our music fans just popped huge boners.
Well, I got stuck on the word Moog.
Moog.
Yeah.
It's just it's a music term.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
So I did not hear
synthesizer.
anything you said after that.
You're
word.
like Moog.
Moog? What the fuck?
Like, isn't that what you? Is that an insult? I think that's a mook. I think that's an insult. Is that a slur? Is mook a slur?
I've never heard that before.
I don't know.
Maybe you should stop saying it.
I was watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Hour the other day, and they said that Luigi called Mario a mook.
I just told you to stop saying it. And you said it again.
Hey, go for broke. It's not in the horror file, baby.
What if we get canceled?
Can you cancel a podcast that isn't trying to make money off ads?
No.
I feel like we're invincible that way. We could say whatever the fuck we want.
Because there's no ads.
You guys are just lucky I'm using that power for good, not evil.
Right.
Although I did say mook a total of 5 times now. I got a can thrown at me. Quit it, you mook.
I'll quit.
Okay,
I'll
I'm
quit
sorry.
right now.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. By the way, the cat is attacking Brittany's head right now. So that's another reason we're having the giggles, because this cat is going fucking insane behind you.
Yes, I know.
It looks like it's having strokes.
I can't
Like,
tell.
I kind of want to ask if it like smells like burnt toast.
My hair?
No, the cat, the way it's
Oh.
acting, because it's not just biting you. It's like it'll bite you
He's
and then
like
it'll take
pulling in my
Yeah.
hair.
What the fuck is happening over there?
I don't know. So the band starts to practice, and Beef freaks out because the song it's written to be sung by a woman. And Swan tells him that he is better than any bitch. And Beef says he's right, and he starts to sing again because Swan tells him to do it his own way. Whatever he wants to do, he can sing it however he wants to.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really care about the song.
Right.
I think he's over the song.
Yeah.
So Swan goes in and takes the music from Leech when he is passed out from his pill cocktail, and he tells the people to seal the door with bricks and cement.
And I think in reality, like we said earlier, I think it's just him fucking with the music. Like he thinks it's because he kind of says that to Beef, you know, by the way, Beef has a little spill on stage and he's trying to get up in these fucking clogs. Oh, that shit gets me every time. But anyway, like, because he's saying it with like a sly smile because he's like, oh, just make it your own, you know?
Yeah.
Drop some lyrics, add your own words, do
He's like,
whatever.
do whatever you want to. So after they build this wall in front of the door, Leech wakes up and freaks out. Beef hears him scream, and it freaks Beef out because he thinks he is singing a dead man's music. And he's like, I can't do that. I can't sing.
Right.
Then we see that Leech broke through the wall, attacked the lynchman. And then,
God, don't call him lynchman.
what did you call them?
Henchman.
Fuck
A
me.
lynchman is not good. And I think it's worse than mook because I just found out mook.
Stop.
No. I just found out mook is a derogatory term for stupid people. So it's okay. It just means stupid, incompetent person.
And I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say henchman.
So I can say mook however many times. You know, the Italian community might come for me, though. Mook is our word. I'm going to get fucking firebombed. I'm going to start my van up and it's going to explode.
I told you I was going to put a bomb in your van.
Oh, shit. Anyway.
Anyway.
Henchman.
Anyway. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I know.
At least
know.
I didn't purposely say it 17 fucking times.
What, Mook? Are we back on Mook? Okay,
You
on.
couldn't read the rest of this by yourself.
I'm sorry. Go on.
So Beef goes to take a shower, and while he's in there singing, Leech comes in and sticks a plunger to Beef's face and tells him to never sing his music again.
Fucking love it because he pulls that thing away too. And you get a little scream from Garrett Grant.
Yes. And he says his music is for Phoenix and no one else.
Anybody else dies. Anyway, De Palma is always homaging Alfred Hitchcock. I don't know if you've ever noticed that in his movies. He references a lot of classic films in his films. Some uncultured asshats would say he's ripping it off, but we know what's up. Those walls, though, you know how they got this camera to circle around Garrett in the shower? These walls they built, they moved and stuff so they could move these walls.
Oh, nice.
I always find that fascinating when they can. I think it's cool. So
they can do whatever they want to. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, as long as it's in the budget.
That's true. But so this scene, though, with the plunger, out of all the scenes they could have chose from this movie to put in Terror of the Isles, they choose this.
Oh, God.
The most random part. You don't know what the fuck's going on.
That's good, though, because then it's not giving the movie away.
It's true, yeah.
So Philbin is outside checking tickets, and he sees Beef leaving. Beef says he's going to Cincinnati to see his mom. He says that there really is a phantom and that he threatened his life. Philbin doesn't believe it, and Beef asks him if he can feel the bad vibes in the air. And Philbin says that it's just the speed talking. He says that Beef needs to get himself together, and he asks if Beef can sing, and he says yes. So Philbin pushes him, and he starts yelling for help from the Phantom.
Which I love it because he's like, I know what real is from drug real.
Right.
And honestly, poor Beef, he just doesn't want to die.
Right.
I don't know. I find Beef kind of lovable. He's not really a villain. He's just being used to.
So the opening night starts and the band comes out and plays. And I really like how they make it look like they're cutting up audience
Yeah, it's really
members.
cool. Like, honestly, this would be a cool show to watch.
Yeah, because they're like cutting audience members with this guitar, but they're just actors with with these fake body parts.
Which is kind of interesting because you would think like musicians would see this movie and maybe do that with their live shows. That would be cool.
That would be cool.
That would be really cool. Although you might give an old lady a heart attack.
That's true. That's true. Then there's people on the back part of the stage, and they're sewing all of these parts together. And then they bring out Beef, who is like stitched together.
Yeah.
And he's got like blood dripping and stuff.
Those little stitch marks were actually just like rubber band knots knotted together and wrapped around him and painted.
Nice. Nice. So then we see Leech with a light thing. What is this?
It's a stage light.
Okay, it is a light. Okay.
Yeah. No. I'm sorry. No. It's a lightning bolt. Remember when Beef goes up and stuff in that whatever they're sewing together, that little platform thing.
I know it's just a prop, right?
Yeah, it's a lightning bolt light and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I thought it was. It was a light. Well, he tosses it at Beef. Beef gets electrocuted, and then there's a fire. The crowd goes crazy, and they're chanting, "I want beef," or "We want beef. We want beef."
Right, and this is the
And
part
then
where
PETA
because Beef is on fucking fire behind stage, but
Yes.
like this is the part where like Swan gets the idea, hey, the crowd loves death, like, which is not good.
Right.
Once everybody figures that out, we're fucked,
Right.
which we kind of have nowadays, if you noticed. Well, like, honestly, if, like, the JFK shooting had happened, the Zapruder film would be played all over fucking TV.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, so a lot of people think that this makeup and stuff that the undeads here are wearing, they think it's Kiss. You know, a lot of people consider it Kiss, but it's actually what Brian De Palma and everybody was going for. It's actually a tribute to The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is an old silent film. And when this movie came out, by the way, the stage is glorious looking, how it's all decorated and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's great looking here. But, you know, you got to consider when this movie came out, it was a year and a half after they made it. You know, Kiss didn't actually come out until the year this movie came out.
Oh, wow.
So, and of course, you know, Gene Simmons and Kiss, they all tried to say that Phantom copied them, but I think it's the other way around.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But maybe Phantom could have had a lawsuit against someone else. But the song they sang as the Undead's here is Somebody Super Like You, which I fucking love this song. It actually topped the charts in Winnipeg. Like
wow.
where this movie was really popular. People have played this at their wedding.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Philbin tells Phoenix to go onto the stage and sing because Leech killed Beef so that she would sing.
Uh-huh.
Then we see Leech strangle the lighting guy.
Yeah, the poor lighting guy has to die, apparently.
And Phoenix gets on stage and starts to sing, and everyone is instantly captivated by her.
It's a really cool fucking scene here.
Yes.
Like, I love this scene, especially with like how they have the Phantom, you know, lighting her with a spotlight because she's singing his music finally. You know, it's finally the voice he wanted for his music.
Right.
There's a nice raw emotional quality to it. You know, Paul Williams has said that this song out of his whole fucking catalog is his favorite. You know, he said, you know, he just lost his mother. And so he's kind of feeling something and stuff. And so he kind of put that feeling into words. So the Paradise here was actually the real life theater, the Majestic. It's somewhere you can physically go and visit and see where this was shot. It's in the downtown district of Dallas. It's a landmark location now, but the time of the filming, it had closed down in 1973. So this was closed at the time they filmed it here. But then I believe it opened back up as a performing arts center, and then it officially reopened in 1983, and they have like plays and musical performances and all sorts of stuff there.
We also have something called Majestic. Don't go there.
I've heard it's bad.
You get raped there.
You get raped there?
Yeah. Well, one of my friends got raped there.
Oh my God. That don't sound good. I
No.
don't want to go to Majestic.
And there's it's an 18 and over
Oh man.
instead of a 21.
Those are bad. Those nightclubs
Yeah.
that have the 18 and over instead of 21 and over.
Yeah.
Like those are terrible places because then you have the kids coming in and fucking things up. For everybody.
Yes.
But at the real Majestic in Dallas, you will not get raped, everybody. I promise.
Let's hope not.
Legitimate place.
So backstage, Swan goes to see Phoenix. He says that Beef is dead, but he wants to talk about her. He says she is going to be a big star, and they will finish the cortata tomorrow night. Cantata.
Brittany can't say cantata. I'm sorry. I have to laugh. It's funny.
I'm trying here.
It's okay. It's okay.
He said they will record, go on tour, and then she will become whatever she wants. And she says she owes him everything, and she just wants a crowd tomorrow. And he says all he wants is her voice.
Yeah, and then she looks at him and says, you know, is that all you want? You know, it's like because you can see it after she performs that song. Old Souls is the name of the song. And you can tell, like, as soon as the curtain goes down and she hears that crowd, it's like the beginning of an addiction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in her eyes, she's like, you know, like, ooh, yeah, she likes that crowd.
Yeah, she
and
needs
stuff.
that
So
serotonin.
so all of a sudden she's willing to do anything for that crowd.
Right.
Which is very scary. You know, she's starting to throw away herself into this.
Right.
And so, like, you can definitely see that addiction is taking hold. What's sad about it is that it definitely represents the tension between artists and people in it for the money, you know?
So a little bit later, Phoenix tries to leave because she's going to go meet Swan somewhere. And when she walks out of her dressing room, there's a crowd of people that the bodyguards are kind of holding back. She sees a shadowy figure, and I think that she thinks it's Swan for some reason.
I don't know who she thinks it is because she doesn't notice who it is until she looks up, obviously, and sees
After
the
she's
Phantom.
already fucking walked towards him, though.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Even though I don't think you could confuse Swan for anyone else.
No. So she goes up the stairs with him and not realizing that it's the Phantom. Well, Leech takes her to the rooftop.
But what I like about this movie is that it's probably the best, it's probably the best adaptation of Phantom of the Opera I've ever seen
I agree.
in movie form. And,
Yeah.
and not that it's directly Phantom of the Opera,
Mhm.
but it's definitely still has that same spirit, like Winslow obviously is kind of in love with her.
Yes.
And it's almost like he's trying to save her from herself.
Right. Well, definitely save her from Swan.
Yeah, definitely.
The Swan and Philbin are in the car waiting on Phoenix. And so Swan says he's very pleased with the crowd that showed up.
And they're like hauling fucking beef out on a stretcher and shit.
Yes. And Swan's okay with it.
Oh, yeah.
So Leech tells Phoenix who he is, and she was like, I thought you were dead. And she doesn't quite believe him, though, and asks why he wears the mask. And he says because Swan has taken his voice, his music, and given him this. And he lifts up his mask, talking about his face. And he continues on to say, and now he wants you, but you're all I have left. So he starts to get frantic and says that no one is going to sing his Faust again, no one but her, and she should leave this place. And she says no, she doesn't want to give up the people that want to see her perform, and she runs off.
Yeah, again.
She doesn't want to give up the fame.
Right. Again, she's more tempted by that than she is actually like looking out for herself. She's losing herself here.
Right.
And Winslow kind of sees that because I think he says at one point in this movie, at some point, he says something about they're going to want, and they're going to want from you more than you're willing to give and stuff like that. And he kind of puts that out there. William Finley does more acting with one eye in this helmet than many people do with their whole faces, I gotta say.
Oh, yeah.
Like he does a great job at pulling this off. Because again, I don't think we touched on that, but the helmet only has one eye hole that he can see out of. Finley said it was difficult to wear this helmet for very long, actually, because it would give him headaches.
Oh,
and stuff
no.
like migraines and stuff. So he would have to like take breaks and go take it off and get some air and stuff. Also, he couldn't hear in this fucking thing. So as they're shooting, Brian De Palma's just fucking screaming at him, trying to get him to hear him, but he can't hear him. So they finally got the idea to fit it with a walkie-talkie so he could hear through there.
Nice. Philbin says that with Leech on the loose, the paradise is finished. And Swan says, nope, it's just beginning. Phoenix runs to the car and says that the freak that killed Beef is on the roof, and Swan tells his men to call the police.
Yeah.
Then Swan's talking to Phoenix, and he tells her not to worry about it because he doesn't want her night ruined. Spoken like a true narcissist. Anyway, sorry.
well, it's true because, really, he's just it's like the turning point when he sees Beef get killed and everybody is going nuts.
Yeah,
it makes it more popular. So he's like, yeah, keep this fucker around, let him fuck some shit up more.
Right.
So he's just like, hey, let's just kill everybody now.
And you're gonna have to deal with it. So later we see that Leech is on the roof, peering in on Swan and Phoenix in bed together, and it's storming. Then we see Swan push a button that starts a recording from right where Leech is standing outside.
Yeah.
Which is very creepy. And Leech is really upset because they're gonna do it.
Yeah, again, the acting with William Finley in this mask, it's great.
Yes. So he screams and he stabs himself with a knife. Then Swan goes and gives Leech the contract and tells him it says that only Swan can terminate the contract. So he needs to get back to writing songs for Phoenix. And if he scares anyone at the paradise, then he won't ever see Phoenix again. This pisses Leech off, and Leech grabs a knife and he tries to stab Swan, but Swan says that he's under contract too.
Yeah, which is it's very interesting because like basically, and we'll find out what all this is about here in a little while. But like I like how because Swan says as soon as if I go, then that wound opens up where Leech stabbed himself and stuff. Which, by the way, like the shots in this scene alone are gorgeous, man. On this rooftop, like when the lightning hits and you get to see that crimson gallow type blood coming out of Leech's wound and stuff. It's just beautiful. It may be the Scream Factory Blu-ray I watched this on. I mean, I don't know about any other versions, but it's great looking.
Yeah. So then we get a magazine cover that says that Swan and Phoenix hitch up during the Faust finale. Then Swan and crew are in the car, and he says it was genius to make the end of the opera a wedding. And Philbin is excited that he gets to play a priest.
And I got to play a priest before.
Right. Then we see Leech finds a movie reel of a contract, and he hooks it up to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see Swan walk into the Paradise, and there's a woman there that says she went and studied with him in high school. I didn't know why I added this part because it was not necessary.
It's not really necessary. It's just more like kind of foreshadowing into what Leech is about to fucking watch, because we kind of get it in a minute. But like, because she's talking about how she went steady with him in high school, and she shows everybody this locket where she's really young and like, I mean, it's just a picture of Paul Williams, but where Swan is like that age at that time, and he still looks the exact same,
right?
So it's just a bit of foreshadowing, kind of to hammer it home that Swan is immortal.
Oh yeah,
even though we kind of already learned that from the rooftop scene, but it's okay.
It's okay. So Leech starts the tape, and Swan is talking about killing himself because he's getting old. He's like, there's no reason for me to move on.
If I can't stay for young forever, I'm going to end it all.
So he goes to slit his wrist, but his reflection stops and starts talking to him, and he says that he can be young forever. And Swan thinks it's the devil, and the person doesn't deny it.
I like that ambiguous nature they add up here, because they're not like fully coming out and saying Satan just made a deal with Swan or anything like that.
Right.
I don't know. I appreciate the ambiguousness of it. We don't need to explain that.
No. He says that Swan must watch the tape every day and keep the picture safe. The picture of him safe. Mm-hmm. If it goes, then he goes.
Which is that's what I talked about up at the top of the show, where they're it's a mashup of several different things. Like, and that's the picture of Dorian Gray is what that's coming from. I don't know if many of our listeners have read that book or seen any of the shitty adaptations of it, but no, I've never seen a good adaptation of the picture of Dorian Gray, but it's a very interesting story.
Okay. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
So then we see Swan sign his contract with blood. Then we get the scene of Phoenix signing hers also. Then we see Swan talking to someone. He says that Phoenix needs to be hit right when Philbin says, "From death to us part." He says an assassination on live TV is entertainment. And Leech is pissed because he's seeing all of this on the security cameras. Right. So he starts a fire in the movie vault thing. Yeah, he starts
destroying the contracts.
Yes, yes.
Which, like Swan said, as the contract goes, then he goes. So now he's mortal. From destroying this contract. And Paula Williams has said, and I kind of agree with him, the line, an assassination on live TV, that's entertainment, has stuck with him. And I think it does too. And it kind of predates the society we're in now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Like how, like, I'm sure if they figured a way to televise like executions or anything like that, they would make millions of dollars. Like, that's
Zoom.
the society. Yeah.
Zoom meetings, duh.
Those are executions?
No, you could have a Zoom meeting.
Oh, I thought you had seen an execution on Zoom. I was like, whoa, man. I'm so glad I'm not plugged into that side of the internet.
No, you could just have a Zoom meeting.
But yeah, if they had like TikTok assassinations, there'd be like millions of dollars to be made off of that, because that's the society we live in.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah.
So then we get this really long scene where the show for the Paradise opens, and then Swan and Phoenix are getting married. Leech grabs the gun from the shooter
Mhm.
and it ends up shooting Philbin, and everyone starts freaking out. So Leech runs onto the stage, and grabs Swan's mask off of his face, and it's all bloody and nasty
Yeah, his
looking.
face is gross looking, and that was Paul Williams' idea. Paul Williams said it was like the roles got reversed because like Brian De Palma turned into this artistic kind of person and stuff about all about the arts part,
Yeah.
and like fucking like Paul Williams turned into the slasher person because he was like, what if we made his face all gross? Like, but like we're not really touching on it because it is a long scene, like you
Yes.
said. But like it's very frantic. It's a very hectic scene and stuff, especially when the crowd starts picking up as soon as Philbin gets shot. Because I think what it's showing us here is the crowd thinks that this is all part of the show, and they're just like they're eating it up.
Oh, I
and
didn't
stuff.
think of it like
it's
that.
like a frenzy. It's almost like this kind of like it's almost like a drug to them. They're just feeding off of it, and they start going more and more crazy.
Yeah.
You know, especially because you see this one guy following Leech up on stage, and he grabs a mask too and ends up stabbing Leech with it in a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that mask, by the way, that Leech is wearing during this scene, or I'm sorry, not Leech. God damn. That Paul Williams is wearing, that's his actual life cast mask that they cast during the filming of Battle for the Planet of the Apes in 1973.
Wow.
Also, I don't think I mentioned Sissy Spacek worked on the set design on this movie with her then boyfriend. And of course, she would go on to star in Carrie, another Brian De Palma film.
Right. So Swan starts to choke Phoenix, but Leech comes to save her and is stabbing Swan, but this is making him get stabbed too.
Yeah, it's opening back up that wound, like, you know, Swan said.
Yeah.
Because all their contracts are destroyed.
Right. So the crowd picks up Swan and the like body surfing him for some reason. I didn't understand
Body
that.
surfing a dead guy. Like I said, it's the frenzy. They're just all feeding off of this like negative energy and stuff, and it's very artistic in
Right.
that way, but like they're feeding off of it. you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So Leech rips his mask off and is crawling around on the ground going after Phoenix. And as he's dying, she realizes this is Leech.
Yeah, she realizes it really is Winslow. Like,
Yeah. And she lays down with him and starts crying. And the crowd is still having a good time, though.
it's a very dramatic, like tragic ending, like which I think is the way to go here, you know, because that's how Phantom of the Opera ended, you know, it's very tragic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we get the credits, and you know we get like introduced to everybody who made the movie and everything like that. Which my favorite song plays over the credits here, which was "The Hell of It," you know, which Paul Williams wrote that song for a funeral scene for Beef that never got filmed.
Oh.
And if you listen to the lyrics, you know, he talks about like, if I'd lived my life half as worthless as you, I'd probably end up burning too. And like that's
Right.
the lyrics in that song. I love that song.
That's kind of fucked up.
It's got a lot of dark lyrics in it. You know,
That's why you like it.
yeah, because he's talking about like good for nothing, bad in bed. You're better off dead.
Oh,
Goodbye,
yes.
goodbye. Yeah. It's a great song. Paul Williams played it on the Brady Bunch Hour in 1977, which is really weird
That's a
considering the
little weird.
lyric content. But anyway, Phantom of the Paradise was a massive bomb when it came out, you know, as with many of our movies. The satire was picked apart as useless because the music industry had already been a parody of itself by that time, and it largely went on to fade away, you know. At least critics thought the satire was useless. I think the satire is pretty well done.
Nah, okay.
Well, I think especially in nowadays, you can apply this to anything in the entertainment industry, like the satire here. You could apply it to
Yeah.
the way reality television is worked out and stuff, and how these companies eat up these people's daily lives and force them to do more and more terrible things to each other just to get
Yes.
ratings. You know?
Okay, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
so I think the satire nowadays, I think it picks up a little better than
Yeah.
it may have back then. The film was huge in Paris and Winnipeg, Manitoba, like I said, when it opened in 1974. In Manitoba, it played continuously in local cinemas for 4 months straight.
Holy crap.
And then a year straight until 1976.
Holy
You know,
crap.
of course, Fuddy Duddy Gene Siskel gave it 2 out of 4 stars, saying that what was on screen was childish. And it's like, yes, it's a comedy.
Fuck that guy.
They're dead now, thankfully. But over the years, though, Phantom has gained a very solid following. Like I said, just like Rocky Horror, it picked up and now has a dedicated fan base. Unlike Rocky Horror, though, and I think I explained this to you, Phantom's following isn't as mainstream as Rocky Horror is.
Right.
Phantom of the Paradise has a huge following, almost pretty much, I would say, as big as Rocky Horror does. But it's all like, it seems like this niche like audience that's kind of more underground, even though
It's
they're all
probably
there.
because nobody's heard of this movie.
It's really weird, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
but I think De Palma really created something imaginative here. You know, like
Oh,
this
yeah.
whole movie plays like something through the looking glass with his way of shooting and composing a movie, combined with some great acting, sometimes comedically over the top, of course. And of course, the amazing music by Paul Williams. You know?
Right.
I mean, that music can stand on its own. I love it. I'd be wrong not to mention a fan organized event that was held in 2005 in Winnipeg called Phantopalooza.
Nice.
Yeah. William Finley, Garrett Graham, they went there. A second one was held in 2006 that featured a concert by Paul Williams.
Oh.
Yeah, it is a good time. Bret Easton Ellis has quoted this, which Bret Easton Ellis wrote American Psycho.
I was like, I've heard that name before.
Yeah, he quoted this as his favorite movie, and
Wow.
Winslow Leach as the Phantom his favorite character in a movie.
Wow.
I know. We sadly lost William Finley, actually, our Phantom in 2012.
Oh.
Yeah, sadly, he passed away. But this movie, I think, really highlights how awesome of an actor he was.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, he does more in one eye slit than anybody else
Yes.
you can do nowadays.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, this is also Nick Cage's favorite De Palma flick.
Oh, my God.
I had to work a Nick Cage reference in there somewhere, but it is. And De Palma would go on and direct Nicolas Cage in Snake Eyes. Which
Oh,
is,
that's cool.
Another good De Palma. I have not seen a bad De Palma flick. I don't care what y'all fucking say. But anyway, you guys should probably thank your stars that I didn't go film school on you today and dissect every scene of this movie, especially like his little close-ins, like classic close. It's just beautiful. But anyway, I love this movie. I see it as a good hybrid of genres, but enough about me. What did you think of Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise from 1974?
Okay. I really had to sit down and think about this, okay?
Mhm.
And I felt this way about a few movies before, and I can't think of off the top of my head what movies those are, but I know I've had this feeling before, okay? I did not like this movie.
Really?
No, just listen.
Okay.
Just listen.
Okay. Yeah. Hear her out, everybody. Hear her out. Don't throw the Molotovs yet.
No. I did not like this movie to analyze and pick apart and do notes on.
That's one thing we can say about a few movies that we've done on this show.
Mm-hmm.
In some movies I won't even touch because I would hate to analyze them. I think it ruins the movie.
Yeah.
I think it kind of ruins this movie to really, really sit and pick apart it and analyze it, because it's a movie that lends itself to you just disappearing into it.
Yes.
Like, you want to soak up this world. You don't want to pick it apart.
Yeah. And so that's the only reason I didn't like it. Other than that, I did like it. Watching it all the way through, and you're feeling the music and you are feeling all the emotions and everything, is a great movie.
Yeah, and I felt the same way when we did Rocky Horror, even though we had a great time with that episode, but I felt like it does it no good service to pick it apart.
Right.
And it does it no good service to analyze it.
And these movies are made to flow, okay? Not to stop every 5 minutes and hit pause and all of that. These are not pausable movies.
No, they're made to evoke your emotions and stuff.
Yeah.
A good musical, and like I said, you can call this rock opera, call it whatever you want, but like a good musical does evoke emotions, kind of like a song.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why we don't do a music podcast where we sit there and pause a song every like 5 seconds and pick it apart, because I think that is a very boring way to look at music.
Yeah.
Like, you have a lot of like podcasts out there who will take lyrics and sit there and read off the lyrics and then talk about what those mean. And I think that's a disservice to the song. You have
Right.
to listen to it all together. Like I said,
Yeah.
you can't, like I said, with Pink Floyd music, I can't listen to one single Pink Floyd track. I have to listen to the whole album,
Yeah.
you know, because it all fits together. You know, and I think it's the same.
And
Yeah.
this movie is just like
It's just like that.
it's just like Leech's songs.
Exactly. It all goes together.
Yes.
You can't take them apart,
Right.
and you have to have Leech sing it. But
Yes. Because like most movies, and I've learned this over the years of taking notes and stuff, is scene for scene. You got scene, you got a scene, you got a scene, you got a scene. And that makes it very easy
Mhm.
to pause and talk about what happened during that scene. These kinds of movies, all the scenes kind of blend in together.
Correct. Yeah.
And so it's kind of hard to write it down.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of critics didn't like this movie when it first came out, because I mean, a movie critic does that.
Yeah.
You know, they sit there and they pick apart a movie, you know, they pick apart a narrative. And I think taking this movie in chunks,
It doesn't work.
It does not work.
Mm-mm.
Like, I think that's why a lot of, I think I disagree with most critics about this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, even though, you know, opinions have changed. You know, this movie now has an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, you know, so obviously the public's opinion has changed about it, and movie critics in general. But
Right.
But like you said, I agree totally with your
Yeah.
analysis.
So other than that, I loved it.
Awesome. Well, that was Phantom of the Paradise from 1974. We had a damn good time. I'm enjoying these 70s movies. Like,
Yeah.
I'm having a damn good time, and this movie reeks of the 70s.
Yes.
But next week,
Uh-huh.
you know, we got quite the different 70s movie. One that I don't think you've seen before. It's part documentary, part like movie.
Okay.
Sort of. It's faux. I don't know, because you've never seen The Wonderful World of Charles B. Pierce. So I'm excited for you to view The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which is...
Oh, you were telling me about
It's
this.
a very good movie, loosely based on the Phantom Killer in Texarkana.
Okay.
They have like... They play this in Texarkana. Like, this is part of a movie festival for Halloween.
Okay.
But anyway, when we go to Texarkana and get trombone to death, you'll
Nice.
figure out what that is next week. But I'm Lee Evans saying stay spooky.
And I'm Brittany. Stay horrific.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. To get a hold of us and submit your stories, fan mail, and death threats, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and nightofthehorrorfile.com. Our theme song was written and performed by John Brennan, used with permission. Find John at shopjb.bandcamp.com and at badtechno.com. If you like what you hear, leave a good review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share the show on your social media. See you next week.